morning, laddie, friends. Glad you're joining me for this wee yoga practice today. My husband and I are in the middle of a road trip through Scotland, and right now we are in the Northern Highlands, basically the very farthest north you can get in the mainland United Kingdom. And as you can see behind me, it is stunningly beautiful. We are in a sheep pasture at the moment, so you may see some sheep wandering through this practice. But this is a 45-minute kind of free-flowing practice that really just reflects my heart in the middle of this road trip. I'll be talking about some scripture and some poems and quotes from books that I've been reading that have been really speaking to me. And the movements in this practice really reflect my need to move after sitting in a car for a while or hiking for a while. And so it's a bit more of an advanced practice, and there's a lot of room for you to make it your own, to either modify as you need to or to take it farther as you like. So certainly this practice is designed for those of you who have a bit more yoga experience, but I trust that you'll be able to follow along no matter where you are and be blessed by it. So let's jump in and do some yoga. Let's begin our practice lying on our backs in whatever position is most comfortable for you, feet on the mat or legs stretched out in front. When you get there and you feel comfortable, take one hand and place it on your heart and one hand on your belly. Allow your eyes to soften closed. And let's get right into this practice by drawing our attention immediately onto our mats, into our bodies, noticing our breath, slowing down our thoughts, slowing down our heart rates by taking deeper breaths and noticing. I've discovered on this trip this strange phenomenon, and I'm sure you may have experienced this too, that when we're in a period of transition, perhaps outside of our comfort zone, all of these old battles that we thought we fought and won come back like old friends. Old insecurities, old fears, old doubts, old temptations. It's like, okay, you're taking new territory. Let's see if we can keep you hostage with these old things again. So I've been encouraged by a few truths in this period. First is that it always gets worse before it gets better. This is true in the physical world, like when your body's fighting a sickness. You go through this fever period and then the fever breaks and the bacteria is gone. It always gets worse before it gets better. The old does not leave without putting up a fight. It will appear initially to the world that this thing you're fighting has won, but you will know that it has not. And how do we know this? Because we're not alone. We're not forgotten. We are not without a purpose. Psalm 100 verse 3 says, "Know that the Lord is God. It is He that made us, and we are His people and the sheep of His pasture." The shepherd never lets his sheep roam beyond their boundaries. He goes and seeks out the one that is lost. He cares for them. He provides for them. And this is the kind of God that we serve. Begin to notice the beating of your heart with your hand on your chest. And notice the rise and the fall of your belly with each breath. Commit in this time to dropping old battles and remembering who you are and whose you are. Remember who it is that fights for you, and that the battle has already been won, thanks to Jesus. So when everything inside starts to feel chaotic or numb, we remember that Jesus is our anchor. But anchors live in the depths of the dark sea. We don't see them above the surface, right? We can only know that they're doing their job by looking at what's going on the surface. So it can be tempting in these periods to wonder if God really does hold all things together. If our names really are written on the palm of Jesus' hands. If He really was and is to come. But we can see God at work, and we can know God by just opening our eyes and taking in the beauty of creation. I think creation is the outward expression of the anchor that God really is holding all things together. Romans chapter 1, verse 20 says, his invisible attributes, namely his eternal power and divine nature, have been clearly perceived ever since the creation of the world in the things that have been made. If you're looking for God, especially in a season where everything feels upended, it's obvious. Look to the things that he has made, to see his eternal power and his divine nature. The beat of your heart, the miracle of your life, the beauty of creation. Let that be the anchor. God, we long to know you more. We long to see you glorified. And without us even doing anything more than surrendering, we acknowledge your glory in the creation of this world, the creation of our lives, of our friends and our family, of the things around us, Lord. Even when things feel chaotic, you hold it all together, and we acknowledge that and we worship that. We know that we're not alone or forgotten or without a purpose, but we are yours. This practice is yours, Jesus, and it's your name, and we pray all these things. Amen. Deepen your breath and prepare to start moving now. Wiggle fingers and toes, make some circles with your wrists and your ankles. And over the next few breaths or so, start to make your way all the way up to your knees. And we're going to meet standing up on our shins here. When you get there, roll your shoulders up and down a couple of times. And then stretch your left leg out to the side, heel on the floor, toes pointing up. And with your left hand, start to slide that hand down your thigh. Right arm is going to reach up to the sky and over to the left. Shoulders stay soft as you breathe into that deep stretch on your right side. Very nice. Slide back up to the center. Right hand is going to find the mat now. It's your left arm reaches up and over. Those left toes can pivot down to the mat if you like, for this expression of a side angle pose. Side plank. Take one more big breath now into your left hip. And then slowly, with your core strength, return back up to the center. And we'll place both knees back next to each other. Roll your shoulders up and down here. And let's take this to the other side. Right leg stretches out. Heel on the mat to start with, toes pointing up. Ground down through that standing knee. And then right arm is going to slide down right leg as left hand reaches up and over. Ground that right heel down into the mat so your hamstring is working to help keep you stable as well as stretched. And then we're going to take this left hand all the way down to the mat. Right toes can find the mat as your right hand reaches up and over. Big side stretch here. Very good. Return to the center now. Both knees meet together. Interlace your fingers behind your back. Roll your shoulders up and down. Heart pressing through. And knuckles are going to reach down for the floor for this big heart opener to begin with. Take 2 or 3 deep breaths here. You can close your eyes. Beautiful. Back to the center. Release your fingers and we'll come to hands and knees. When you get to your hands and knees, find some cat-cow movement. It can be gentle, it can be exaggerated. Moving to the rhythm of your body, what it's asking for from you today in this practice. Take your fingers now, crawl them over to the left side of your mat and lean your hips over to the right side, making this C shape with your body. So the right hip is going to pull away from those hands. Good, and then let's take this over to the other side. Fingers over to the right, hips lean a little to the left, and then that left hip pulls away from that left shoulder as that left hand especially reaches across your mat. Beautiful. Come back to the center and make your way slowly to downward dog. Take your time getting there. When you get there, take your time getting comfortable. Pedal your heels. Roll your ankles up and down. Continue to notice. Continue to let this be an expression of worship. Let's roll forward now on an inhale to plank pose. Good, and then put a soft bend in your knees. Hips and core lead the way as you draw them up and back to downward dog. 2 more times like this, just like an ocean wave. Inhale, roll it forwards. And exhale, roll it back. And again, inhale, roll it forwards. Exhale, roll it back. Beautiful. Really press your hands into the mat here. Draw your hips away from your fingers. Good. And then step your feet as wide as your mat. Soft bend in your knees. Walk your hands back to your feet. And hang in this slightly wider legged forward fold. Knees can stay soft. Head relaxes down. And then nice and slowly roll all the way up to stand. And when you get there, you can step your feet back underneath your hips. Big breath in, arms reach up overhead. And as you exhale, your left hand is going to reach forward, your right hand is going to reach back, but your hips are going to stay square to the front of the mat. Seeing if we can isolate this twist to our upper back. Good. On your next inhale, come back to the center, both arms reach up. And as you exhale, twist over to the left side. Resist the temptation to let that left hip float back, but keep it anchored to the front. Very good. Untwist back to the center. Both arms reach overhead. Take a nice big breath in. Roll up onto your tiptoes. Heels lift. Ankles draw in together. Good. And then lower your heels down and fold all the way back forwards. Knees bent, hands to the mat. Walk them back forward to a plank position. Good. When you get to your plank, take a moment to make sure wrists are underneath those shoulders. Heels are stacked on the balls of your feet, like your feet were standing flat on the floor almost. And we're going to rock just backward and forward here on your toes. Continuing to warm up your wrists and your core. Good. Rock the other way. Beautiful. We're going to do a little bit of core work here. If your wrists are starting to bother you, you can lower down onto your forearms. But we're going to take our right knee, tap our right elbow with it, and then stretch it back. Let's do this on the left side. Left knee, left elbow. Good. On the right. And on the left. And on the right. And on the left. 2 more on the right. Left. And again on the right. On the left, really good. Big breath in here in the center. And let's lower all the way down onto our bellies. Modify as you need to, but maintain the integrity as you go. When you get there, forehead on the mat, fingers wide out to the side like goalposts, right up onto your fingertips here. We're going to take a wide-armed cobra pose here. Big breath in, roll your chest up. Good, and then as you exhale, slowly roll it back down. Let's do this a couple more times. Breathe in, roll it up. You can do one shoulder at a time if that feels good. And then in your own way, roll it back down to the mat. Breathe in to roll it up. Exhale, core engaged, lower it down. Good. Hands back underneath your armpits and press your hips back to your heels, child's pose. Couple of deep breaths here. Henry Nouwen, who is a beautiful writer on Christian faith and spirituality, writes this. Aren't you like me, hoping that some person, thing, or event will come along to give you that final feeling of inner well-being you desire? Don't you often hope, may this book, idea, course, trip, job, country, or relationship fulfill my deepest desire? But as long as you are waiting for that mysterious moment, you will go on running helter-skelter, always anxious and restless, always lustful and angry, never fully satisfied. You know that this is the compulsiveness that keeps us going and busy, but at the same time makes us wonder whether we are getting anywhere in the long run. This is the way to spiritual exhaustion and burnout. This is the way to spiritual death. Tuck your toes here and come to sit back on your heels. Your bottoms of your feet are going to feel quite stretched here. If at any point it gets too much, you can untuck them. But see if you can maintain this stretch as you turn your head to the left side and then stretch your right arm out just down towards the mat. Keep letting that your head fall over to the left side and reach those right fingertips out. Good. Come back to the center and let's just switch sides. Turn your head now to the right. Your left arm is going to reach out and down to the floor. Breathing into that stretch. I think this is where that verse from Romans can keep us anchored, right? Instead of running to the next thing, no matter how good it is to find fulfillment, like Paul writes, God's invisible attributes, his eternal power and divine nature have been clearly perceived ever since the creation of the world and the things that have been made. We don't have to exhaust ourselves trying to find it and find that meaning because it's right in front of us if we just open our eyes and see it. If we remember that the Lord is God, it's he that made us. We are his people and the sheep of his pasture. Return to the center and come back to your downward facing dog. Friends, we're in this for the long haul, right? Not to get burned out or exhausted trying to do it all or be it all or find it all. Always clamoring for more, more, more. But let's be people who rest in the glory of God's eternal power and divine nature as he's shown it to us right here, right now. Take a look at your hands. Walk your feet to the front and hang in this beautiful forward fold. Root down through your feet and rise all the way up to stand as you inhale, arms reach up overhead. As you exhale, fold back forwards. Breathe in, lift halfway up. Good, exhale, fold it down. Let's step your left foot back for a low lunge here. Shoulders roll back, heart reaches forward. That left heel reaches back behind you. Good, and then lower that knee to the ground. Hook your thumbs here, big breath, and reach them up to the sky and back behind you. Good. See if you can lift your ribs away from your hips while your tailbone reaches down to the earth, but knit that bottom rib in. Good. Place your left hand down on the mat. Now right arm twists open for a twisted low lunge. Tuck those left toes, lift that left knee for a twisted lunge. And now step the left foot forward, forward fold. Ground down through your feet. Start to bend in your ankles, your knees, and your hips, and we'll meet in chair pose. Weight distributed evenly between both heels and both hips. Bring your hands together at your heart. Heart reaches for your thumbs. And we're going to twist to the right now. So left upper arm is going to hook to the outside of that right leg. Make sure to keep both hips square to the front, just like we did at the beginning when we were twisting, standing up. We're going to step our left foot back now to high lunge. So take your time. See if you can maintain the twist as you step it back. Good. Hold it here for a couple more breaths. You're welcome to extend your arms open if you like to help deepen that twist. Good. And then unhook those arms. High lunge. Arms reach up overhead. Feel free to bend that back knee if you like. Good. Both hands are going to find the floor now. Left heel is going to pivot down. Right toes pivot to the left. And we'll meet in a wide-legged forward fold to the left. Find some movement here if that feels good. And then just let your head and your neck and your shoulders and your belly soften down. We're going to make our way to triangle pose right from this position here. So point your right toes forward. Both legs are straight here. Really ground down through the outside edge of that left foot. Right hand is going to come to the floor, your shin. And this left arm is going to twist open. Seeing if you can tuck that right hip underneath your left so hips are stacked, shoulders are stacked, head is reaching away from the shoulders so your neck is long. And those left fingers reach up. Beautiful. Take one more big breath in here. As you exhale, return to that wide-legged forward fold. So right toes point back in. And let's take this to the back side. So left toes are going to point out now. Really ground down through those feet. Notice that this side might be different. So place that left hand accordingly. Mat, shin. If you have a block, that's great. And then twist your right arm open. Triangle pose to the left side. Good. See if you can really roll that left lung underneath even more. And then see if you can lengthen your spine 1/2 centimeter longer. That's it. One more breath in here. Good. And as you exhale, lower that right hand down, spin that right heel up, bend into that left knee, and you find yourself in a supported lunge towards the back of your mat. Take a moment here to roll those shoulders back, heart reaches forwards. And then lower your right knee down. Thumbs are going to hook together. Big breath in, sweep them up. Beautiful low lunge here. Shoulders back. Pinky side of the finger reaching forwards and up. Good. And then come back to the center. Right hand is going to come down. Left arm is going to twist open. And at any point here, you're welcome to tuck those right toes and lift that right knee for a twisted lunge. Beautiful. Lift that back right thigh a little bit higher. And then left hand comes down, step that right foot forward, forward fold. We're going to come straight to chair pose here. So weight shifts to the heels, ankles, knees, hips find a bend as you sit in your imaginary chair. Shoulders are back, heart reaches forwards. Chin draws in. Hands come to the heart now. Let's hook those elbows, that right upper arm to the outside of your left knee, twisting over to the left side. Over time, you'll notice your heart actually coming more towards your thumbs here, but see if you can keep twisting over to the left in your upper body. Good. Keeping this twist, weight in your left foot, step that right foot back. Good. Opening your arms here if you like. And then slowly untwist. We'll meet in a high lunge. And then we'll meet in a wide-legged forward fold. So hands come down to the mat. Toes are going to point over to the right side. Let your body hang in the center. Shake your head yes. Shake your head no. Good. And then right toes point back to the front of your mat. That back heel is going to spin up. Hands are going to frame that front foot. Step your right foot back so you're in a plank position. And let's take our first vinyasa flow here. Elbows hugging in. Lower halfway for chaturanga. Inhale, untuck those back toes. Upward facing dog. Shoulders roll back. Take an extra breath in here. Exhale, downward facing dog. Let's take 5 deep breaths, either in a down dog or you can lower your knees for child's pose. Deepening your breath here. Noticing the beat of your heart, the movement of your breath. Remembering your anchor. Good. From your downward facing dog, lift your right leg up. Bend that knee, open that hip up. Both shoulders stay square to the mat still. This twist is now happening more in our lower back. Good. And with that right knee bent, we're going to pulse your heel towards your butt 8 times here. A little workout for your hamstrings. So just pulse that heel for 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Beautiful. Extend your right leg, square your hips off, and step your right foot through in between your hands. Ground down through your feet. Big breath in, rise up for high lunge. Good. Take a moment here to stack shoulders right on top of those hips. And allow that right hip to draw back a little and that left hip to point forward a bit so they're nice and even. We're going to make our way to tree pose very slowly here through warrior three. So any arm variation you like, but begin to put more weight into your right foot. Start to straighten that right leg as you extend your left leg behind you, strong and straight. Good, and then take 3 breaths to make your way all the way upright. And place that left foot anywhere on your right leg. Heel can be on your ankle, foot can be on your calf, or foot can be placed on your inner thigh. Really press that right leg into that left foot. And see if you can lengthen your ribs away from your hips here. Beautiful. Bring your hands together at your heart now. We're going to take this left leg and come straight to eagle pose next. So really ground down through that right foot as you release that left foot. Wrap that left leg around your right leg, either once or twice. Hips reach back for that imaginary chair. Good, and hands can stay at your heart here, or if you'd like to take eagle arms as well, you can hook right arm underneath your left arm. Good. All right, if your arms are in the bind, keep them there. Untwist that left leg, step it back to high lunge. Good. If your arms are bound, unbind them here. Reach them up over your head. Take a big breath in. As you exhale, open up warrior two. Inhale, straighten your front knee, arms lift up. Exhale, bend back into it. One more time, let's do this again. Inhale, straighten and lift. Exhale, bend. Good. Flip your right hand, reach it up and back, reverse. Good. Come back to the center. Let's do it again. Inhale, reverse. Straighten that leg here. And then as you exhale, come forward for triangle. Right hand finds your shin or the mat. Left arm reaches up. We've been here before, so notice if this feels different as we've moved a bit more. Good. Start to bend into that right knee. Left hand is going to come down. Both hands meet the mat as your right foot steps back for plank pose. Hips lift up and back, downward facing dog. Lift that right leg up again. Bend your right knee. Open your right hip. And if you'd like to take it all the way over to wild thing, you can. Nice and slowly, right leg finds the floor. Good. As that as that right arm reaches back behind you. Good. If you're in wild thing, very slowly and thoughtfully make your way back to your downward facing dog. And take a couple deep breaths here. Good. Left leg reaches up to the ceiling now. Bend your left knee, open your left hip. Keep those shoulders squared off as we pulse this left foot 8 times. Here we go for 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Beautiful. Square off those hips, straighten that leg, and now left foot steps in between your hands at the top of your mat. Good. Ground down through your feet. Inhale, rise up, high lunge. Really get that back heel on top of the ball of that back foot. Right? So that right leg is really working here. It's not just hanging out back there. It's strong and energetic. Through warrior three, let's make our way to tree pose. So begin to draw your weight to your left leg. Strong and straight, your right leg floats off the mat. And over the next couple of breaths, start to stand up and place that right foot somewhere on that left leg. In this pose, your feet are your anchor, grounding down into the earth. And you know how well they're doing their job by how balanced you are in your shoulders and your arms. Over time, you'll build the strength to stand strong and still. But don't forget about the anchor point in this pose. All right, we're going to slowly release that right foot and start to wrap that right leg around your left for eagle pose. Left arm under your right. If you'd like to take the bind in your arms. Keep reaching those hips back and squeezing arms and legs together. It feels so uncomfortable. I hate this pose, but I think it's good to do because it makes me uncomfortable. And if we breathe in it and we smile in it, we know that we can do hard things. Slowly start to untwist that right leg and step that right leg back behind you for a high lunge. Untwist your arms if they're still bound, reach them up overhead. And on your next breath out, find warrior two. On an inhale, straighten your front knee, reach your arms up, breathe in. And on your exhale, bend back into it. One more time, inhale, straighten and lift. Exhale, bend. Good. Flip your front palm, reverse your warrior. Exhale back to the center. Again, inhale to reverse, straightening that front leg as you do. And as you exhale, left hand reaches forward, finding triangle pose on this side. Right arm really reaches up, 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 up for some length here. As that left hip tries to squeeze farther under the right one. Good. Both hands are going to find the mat now. Both feet are going to find to get each other at the back of your mat, downward facing dog. And let's lift that left leg one more time. Bend that left knee, open that left hip, and take it over to wild thing if you so desire. Hips press up to the ceiling. Feet continue to be that anchor point here as they ground down. Take a big breath in through your chest, out through your mouth, and then return to downward facing dog. Good. Take a look at your hands and step, jump, walk your feet to meet them. When you get there, step them as wide as your mat. We'll meet in a squat position. So slowly start to lower your hips down in between your heels. Elbows come to the insides of your knees. Hands come together and your heart reaches for your thumbs, just like we did when we were twisting in that chair pose earlier. Beautiful. Lower your fingertips down to the mat. We're going to find lizard pose from the squat position. So start to put the weight into your right foot and step your left foot back behind you. And then negotiate your way into lizard pose that feels appropriate for your body today. So step that left foot back farther if you need to. Lower that left knee down to the mat. Maybe step that right foot wider if you'd like. And then over the next few breaths or so, perhaps explore lowering down onto forearms. Finding that place of tension, but not pain, where you can breathe and allow something to anchor your thoughts, something that shows you, that reminds you of God's eternal nature and divine power. Maybe it's the beauty of your breath and the beating of your heart. Or maybe it's a beautiful piece of creation that you're looking at while you're practicing. We don't have to chase the next high in our spiritual life. God is here in this moment. The Spirit is ours to teach and to guide and to connect and to remind. The Lord is God. He made us. We are His, the sheep of His pasture. Slowly start to press yourself back up. And we're going to come to our hands and our knees. Walk your hands forward slightly. Sway your hips side to side here to release that stretch a bit. Good. And then we'll come back to downward facing dog. Walk, step, jump your feet back to the front of your mat, and we'll meet in our squat position one more time. Take a moment to notice here. One side may feel especially stretched or tight compared to the other, so let's even it out here. Weight is going to come into our left foot now as we reach that right foot back and find lizard pose on this left side. Move with intentionality and awareness here because this side may be a lot different than the other. But allow your face to soften. Allow your belly, your thighs to soften. Allow your thoughts to soften. Take about 2 more deep breaths here. And then over the following breath or 2, start to make your way back to your hands and your knees. Again, swaying out your hips. And we'll meet standing back up onto our knees like we did at the beginning of class. And we'll take a few variations of Camel Pose here. So hips are stacked on top of your knees. Tailbone reaches down towards the earth. Thighs spiral inwards. Hands come to your low back here just to begin with. Shoulders are going to roll up and back. Heart reaches up. And very slowly start to arch your back forwards as you maintain the integrity through your core and through your thighs, through the anchor points in this pose here. Good. Come back up to the center. Hips come to your heels and just stay here and breathe in this neutral position. Good. Rise back up onto your knees. And we're going to do Camel Pose with what I call windmill arms. So one arm at a time is going to reach up and back a couple times each side, and then we'll hold on the right side. So here we go. Rise up to the center. Big breath in. With your right arm, reach back. Good. And then left arm. And then right side. And then left side. Good. And then the right side reaches back. And let's hold this here for a couple breaths. Left hand can find your heel or your hip. But maintain that integrity of hip over knee. Good. Very slowly come back up to the center. Hips to heels. Few breaths in this neutral posture. Beautiful. Back up to the center, and let's do this on the other side. Starting with the left arm, reach your left arm up and back. Good, and then right, and then left, and then right. Good, and then left, and we'll hold this here. Shoulders stay soft. Ribs keep reaching away from those hips. As you exhale, rise back up to the center, and we'll find Child's Pose for 3 breaths. Beautiful. Let's end this practice with one of my favorite poses, which is Pigeon Pose. I like to get there from downward facing dog, so slowly make your way there. And then let's stretch our right leg back behind us and place your right shin down behind your wrists, left leg crawling back behind you. And over the next few breaths, finding that place of stillness and surrender. There's this poem by Mary Oliver called Wild Geese that's been just ringing around my heart for the past few weeks as we've been traveling. And it goes like this. She writes, "You do not have to be good. You do not have to walk on your knees for 100 miles through the desert repenting. You only have to let the soft animal of your body love what it loves. Tell me about your despair, yours, and I will tell you mine. Meanwhile, the world goes on. Meanwhile, the sun and the clear pebbles of the rain are moving across the landscapes, over the prairies and the deep trees, the mountains and the rivers. Meanwhile, the wild geese, high in the clean blue air, are heading home again. Whoever you are, no matter how lonely, the world offers itself to your imagination, calls to you like the wild geese, harsh and exciting, over and over, announcing your place in the family of things. I love this poem because to me it's an invitation to let go, to go deeper, to worship God with each breath, to remember that I don't have to walk on my knees for 100 miles through the desert repenting that I'm already forgiven, that I can tell of my despair, but meanwhile the rest of creation goes on in magnificent worship. And we can sit in our despair, or we can heed that invitation. Whoever you are, no matter how lonely, the world offers itself to your imagination, calls to you like the wild geese, harsh and exciting, over and over, announcing your place in the family of things. Slowly start to make your way back to downward facing dog, taking whatever movement calls to you before you take pigeon on the other side. And then when you're ready, if you're not already there, left shin comes behind your wrists, and we'll take pigeon on this side. You have a place here in this family of things, in the beauty of God's creation. Very slowly, over the next 2 or 3 breaths, make your way back to down dog or hands and knees, whatever pose is calling to you after something as deep as pigeon. And when you're ready, we'll meet on our backs, getting ready to prepare for Savasana. And this is a bit more of a free-flowing practice, because I trust by now you know your body and what it's asking for, what would be life-giving for it. So you pick whatever final pose you would like. Maybe it's a bridge pose, maybe it's a spinal twist, or happy baby, or plow. Your choice here, but take something that you feel you need before you can totally just let go and surrender. And then when you're ready, stretch your legs out and your arms out. And allow yourself to just rest, to let go, to clearly perceive, even in the stillness here, the magnificence and the goodness and the closeness of God. I'd love to end our practice with a prayer written by Henry Nouwen. And he writes this: Dear God, I'm so afraid to open my clenched fists. Who will I be when I have nothing left to hold on to? Who will I be when I stand before you with empty hands? please help me gradually open my hands and to discover that I am not what I own, but what you want to give me. I'm so grateful that you practice with me today, friend. Stay here, linger in this prayer. Listen and wait. And I look forward to meeting you back here on your mat soon.